So this is a drastic change from how we dealt in free agency during the Gruden era. Right?
Jesus.
We have nightmares. Wake up in cold sweats from free agency in the Gruden era. So Josh Dubow of the Associated Press put together.
Fuck Josh Dubow, by the way.
Put together a list of the top 10 biggest free agent signings under Jon Gruden. And this counts in the Reggie McKenzie year. This counts with Mayock. But Gruden was the decision maker. He was the de facto GM. And these are who we got. 10 biggest contracts we gave in free agency. Trent Brown, $66 million. Tyrell Williams, $44 million. Lamarcus Joyner, $42 million. Cory Littleton, $35 million. Yannick Ngakoue, $26 million. Carl Nassib, $25 million. Kwiatkoski, $21 million. Tahir Whitehead, $19 million. Marcus Mariota, $17.5 million. Jordy Nelson, almost forgot about him, $14 million. Every single one of these free agents, with the exception of Yannick Ngakoue, is considered an absolute failure on the Raiders. Absolute failure on the Raiders. Trent Brown played half the games. Tyrell Williams played less than that. Joyner never panned out. Cory Littleton lost his starting job to a rookie. Nassib had 5 sacks in 3 years?
Yeah.
Something like that. Kwiatkoski lost his job. Tahir Whitehead didn't do crap. Marcus Mariota. Even with Derek Carr injuring his groin in the second to last game 2 seasons ago, they still wanted to start him over a healthy Mariota. Oh, yeah, and also Mariota got hurt every single season. Jordy Nelson was done by the time he came to the Raiders. I mean, if there's any example of how bad Jon Gruden was as a talent evaluator in free, this isn't even counting drafts. We're just talking just specifically Jon Gruden in free agency. Every big contract he got blew up in his face. Even the one good signing, Yannick Ngakoue, we traded away for a better guy. He just wasn't, he doesn't fit the new scheme.
Yeah,
that is even a broken clock is right twice a day. Gruden's org, never right when it came to big money deals. Absolutely atrocious free agency management by Jon Gruden.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why Mayock is out of a job.
Yep.
Is the early round picks and the big splashy free agent signings. Those are the ones those are the headline grabbers, and when the grabbers don't pan out, you can point all you want to the fifth and sixth rounders that panned out for you. But what about all the big time free agent money that you're giving out and all the first round pick money that you're giving out that aren't panning out? It's a lot of dead money sitting in the bottom of the ocean that aren't doing shit for you.
So Jon Gruden, and we talked about it multiple times, he was just in general a bad talent evaluator. Did not evaluate talent very well at all. 2, he also fell in love with guys. So you can be bad, but you can be like, oh, I really like Trent Brown, but he costs too much. You could be bad at evaluating talent and still be economically decent. That can kind of save you from yourself. He was economically stupid because he fell in love with players. He's like, I want Trent Brown. I don't care what it costs. I want Tyrell Williams. I don't care what it costs. That was him. Jon Gruden was like my wife at the at the mall with 2 glasses of wine in her. She's like, I just want it. I don't care. That was Jon. They say don't go. They say don't go shopping hungry. Jon Gruden went shopping stoned and just got up, got everything.
Rough. Yeah, and I got into a little bit of a discussion with somebody in the comment section. Gruden overlooked overall talent for a specific niche that a player can fill in his system or in his team, and he wildly overpaid for that.
Yeah.
Instead of getting a player who can do that plus other things and paying a decent price for it, he overpaid for a player who is very limited, who can only do a certain thing.
Yeah. And
he did that over and over and over again. And you're wondering why in certain situations, certain players can't perform. It's because they can only do certain things well. And they've shown you that that's all they can do. And that's what they were brought in for. But when they're asked to do more because, certain circumstances or situations call for it, they can't do it because they never were that person.
He always had, like you said, a very narrow view of what he wants. Like Jon Gruden runs a Jon Gruden offense. He coaches the team he wants, whether he has it or not, right? If he's got, in 2000, 2001, 2002 in Oakland, he had the guys that fit his scheme. So we went great, right? Rich Gannon can do a West Coast offense, and Tim Brown can be that great route runner. We had a line that can play smash mouth and still, block for a West Coast passing offense. Like we had the guys that made him successful, and that's why he was so successful, right? But when he had to build it from scratch like he wanted to, he was terrible. Like he has to be the worst negotiator ever. Like agents had to have been like how Jacksonville Jaguars are now. That's how it had to have been when Gruden was in Oakland and Las Vegas. Like agents can just smell the desperation. Like, oh, you really want Joyner. If I'm the agent's like, oh, I can smell how bad you want him. I'll take $42 million, please.
I want Joyner. I'll give you $35 million. The agent's like, no. How about 42? Yes.
And he's negotiating against himself too.
Such an idiot.
Yannick Ngakoue, clearly the best pickup out of this 10. He's the second best.
Again, a niche player. He does one thing well.
But at least he did the one thing well, right? At least he actually started and did the thing.
Yeah, he did a great thing. He did what he was supposed to. He showed you who he was. He did the one thing well. He didn't do anything else well.
He got us 10 sacks.
And the player that we got to replace him does what Yannick Ngakoue does well, better.
And more.
And more
so.
Yeah.
So if Yannick's the best guy on this list, who's number 2? Like, who's the second best super expensive free agent pickup Jon Gruden had?
Put that list up there again. Let's see.
I mean, is it Brown? At least he
Brown
started half the time he was
enough.
here.
He didn't play enough.
But how many guys played? How many guys played more than him though? Like, think about it. Like,
Tahir Whitehead played the whole season, at least.
Brown was at least good when he was playing. He was at least good when he was playing.
Tahir Whitehead he had a lot of tackles. He was just terrible against the pass.
Mm-hmm.
And then we let him go, and he went to Detroit. Carl Nassib was decent. He was decent. He wasn't terrible, but he didn't live up to the expectations by any means.
He performed like a third rotational end as opposed to
he got paid for as a starter,
but he was like a rotational
guy.
And this isn't even the first round draft picks that Gruden told.
I don't even want to look at that. We already looked at that before.
That's a whole other discussion.
My stomach hurt. It should made my stomach hurt.
Jon Gruden free agency is the only thing worse than Jon Gruden shooting emails. Just awful. Yeah. Who was your biggest disappointment?
Out of this thing?
Mine's Cory Littleton. I was so pumped on Littleton.
I was never as pumped. I
thought for sure it's like, finally, we haven't had a great linebacker in a decade. Like, finally, we got a guy that can deliver.
The first thing I said was, well, he doesn't have Aaron Donald up front eating up triple teams every play.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing I thought of. And he comes over here, and guess what? He gets swallowed up by offensive line because he doesn't have Aaron Donald eating up triple teams every single play.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the guy that I had the highest hopes for, I had pretty high hopes for Kwiatkoski because I think that when he got the time to play, but again, he was a backup rotational linebacker with the Bears, and then we paid him as a starter. And this is the thing that you don't pay middle of tier guys starting money. Like, you don't do that.
Yeah.
And that's what we've done. This is a prime example. Is Nick Kwiatkoski is you pay the middle of the road guy big money. You either pay the premium guys premium money, or you get a lower end guy and you pay them, suds and dud deal. But I probably, Joyner, I had high hopes for Joyner too. We just played him out of position.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't play well at all. I was pretty high on him as well.
Mariota was the one I was like, what are we doing?
I thought he could still play, but I'm like, why? It doesn't make sense.
That much money for a backup quarterback that doesn't run your system, that gets hurt every season? Like,
Okay, look.
Awful.
We can all agree that Baltimore is a well-run franchise.
Yeah.
We can agree with that, right?
Yeah.
Look at their quarterbacks.
Stability, coach, ownership.
Look at their quarterbacks.
Quarterback.
They all have the same skill set. Big arm, mobile quarterbacks because they run the same shit.
Mm-hmm.
So if one gets hurt, they don't have to completely change their game plan around. Everyone can run the same shit. And guess what? Their third string quarterback went out there, Huntley, and fucking did well because he was able to run the same system, and the system was geared towards his skill set. That's how you build
as opposed to Gruden,
franchise.
where he wakes up one morning, he's like, I want a running quarterback today. Here's $14 million, Mariota.
Yeah. I'll use him, once or twice a week. He's a grinder.
Congratulations for making it all the way to the end of our video. If you want Darren Waller to catch 20 touchdown passes next season and for Max Crosby to have 30 sacks, go ahead and subscribe and click the next video.